So the upfront contract literally comes straight after you've built rapport. You're diving straight into this. Before you do anything, before you're talking about your product, how you can make the money, whatever you're doing, okay? It's the most important part of the whole meeting. And you don't even talk about how you're going to help them. And this is so important that you see so many salespeople and business owners not understanding and what they always and constantly are doing. They're on the back foot. And this can really throw you into missing deals or missing out on those power frame individuals that kind of try to run the meeting. So every meeting, someone's perspective dominates. Okay, that's the frame. Frames can clash, and we must stay in control. We're going to talk about frame control in a bit, but a frame is basically who you're talking to, and one person always has to be the alpha, and a beta will always buy from an alpha, but an alpha will not buy from a beta. And this is really, really, really critical. Okay. And this is setting that scene in the first place, like we just mentioned. And we have to have the power frame. We must have this. And this is detailing how the call is exactly going to go. This is what we're doing in the upfront contract. You take that power frame as soon as you're able to do this, because this is your home court. You're setting the rules and they're playing that game. Okay. And too many people, it's the opposite, and you struggle. And at the end, the prospect has given you a verbal agreement on how it will go. Okay? This means we hold them to this if it ever detours. And that's really important because meetings do detour. And we're going to get into that a little bit in the frame control side of it. And this is going to be like a masterclass. It's like an art form, okay? And this is why we need to treat this so granular, because I can just tell you, you need to frame the meeting. It doesn't work like that. You have to do this perfectly or you're going to really scupper your pitch, okay? So you can enjoy, and be gobsmacked like a movie, okay? And if you hear the start and skip the middle, your pitch is the same. You're going to be completely confused. So getting on to a little bit of frame control, okay? This is very important. We're going to do a high value overview because we're going to cover it more in part of the other series. But basically, the core frames, okay? This is like what a person is when they come into the meeting. They can be an analyst, a power, or a time frame, basically at the end of each one. Now, what is critical about these ones? Okay, so an analyst is like a deep diver into the numbers, detail orientated. Want to know the statistics, the savings, all that type of stuff, all that cold cognition stuff that we don't want to cover. A power is someone that's like, I'm in control. Okay, this is normally your CEOs. They kind of dictate how the call is going to go. They interrupt. They kind of want to tell you X, Y, Z, or jump straight to other parts. And this is what we're trying to avoid because we're going to take that frame. And then what we have is the time. These are the people that say they have like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it may be, okay? We're basically avoiding these three from happening from the other side, okay? And these are the key ones that normally scupper any sales deal, either at the start or at the end of the meeting. We're trying to avoid this by taking a power frame, okay? And the power frame is very, very powerful to remove these other ones, but also it stops the other person from becoming a power. And what that does is then they're able to buy off you because normally that means you're the alpha. And this is really critical, okay? And I can't stress this enough. The upfront contract, if it's not there, unless you're selling maybe an info business where you have the authority, even then this can be taken off you. So it has to be done, and you need to make sure that you maintain this through the pitch. So we're going to break down how you actually build the upfront contract. And this works for any industry that you do, okay? It doesn't matter if you're in info, you're doing SaaS, you're doing a coaching business, it could even be, an engineering company. Whatever you're pitching, you can use this framework, just tweaking it, depending on who you're talking to, and it will work every single time. Well, I can't say every time, but 99% of the time to stop these frames from derailing your pitch before it even starts. So let's get on to sentence one, okay? So what we're doing here is simply building the frame control from the start and framing the meeting, or framing kind of how it's going to go, okay? So we're basically saying, hey, Mr. Prospect, how this meeting is going to go is I've only got 40 minutes until my next call. So I want to ensure we make the most of our time. What have we done here? So we've done frame control here. So you're setting the rules of engagement immediately. So you become the host. So you are the power person. But you've also put time frame in there as well. You've kind of mixed these together, which gets that scarcity, makes you seem busy. And alongside that, it pushes some urgency. So if they are a bit of confusion, then it enables you to keep that kind of control, and you don't want to be fluffing about. People value their time. They don't want to be wasting time. Okay. And like I said, it makes you feel busy as well, which is really key because the other person may try to do this on you, and you can counter by saying, if they say they've only got 40 minutes, you say, hey, I've only got 30 minutes. And it's a really good way to take back the power as well. That's a little, quick tip there. So going on to sentence 2, okay? So following what we just said there. So you're going to go, so firstly, I just need to understand more about the business, where you're wanting to go, and the roadblocks that are currently in the way. So a few key things that we've said there. So we've set the agenda. So you're basically clearly marking the step 1 so they know that process. So we're going to find more about you and how and what is happening in your business, okay? And this is a really cool way to make them feel their guards down. You're doing a discovery first approach. You want to know what they're doing, and people like to talk about themselves as well. So it drops their guard. They don't want to just be listening. They want to explain themselves and why they're on this call, because they're on this call for a reason. And you know that tactic empathy as well. They have goals and challenges, which makes them feel understood before you sell. Now, what you've also done here, okay, and this is really cool, is like where you're going to go through the roadblocks currently in the way. You're basically telling them that they have roadblocks. They're on this meeting. You're not hiding. You're not letting them hide behind this. You know that they have something that they're struggling with, and you're trying to get that out of them before they even kind of give that message across. So you're setting that frame that they have roadblocks. Why would they be on this meeting? Open up, tell me about this, and we're away. Okay. So these are really cool ways to set that scene. Basically telling them this is what they're going to do first, without them going off asking about the price or asking about XYZ. We're keeping them laser focused. Okay. So moving on to sentence 3. So again, we're basically doing a power positioning here. Okay. So from here, once I got a good understanding, I will know if you're a good fit to work with us. So you're basically saying to them from the start that you've got 40 minutes. You now want to find out more about them and what is making them struggle. And if you feel like you can help them, then I will tell you more about what we're going to do. And that's going to be the next part. But you're basically showcasing that you're selective here. You're showing that you're not just going to take on anyone, because a lot of people just think that you're going to take their money. You're taking them back a little bit by saying, I need to make sure this is actually a good fit, because if not, I'm not going to bother. And it makes them realize that not everyone qualifies. So it helps them open up a little bit more. They need to detail why they're on this call, because you don't want them holding back information, because a lot of people are nervous, or ego is a good one to get, to open up. Like a great one for me is we help people get more sales in their business. Sometimes people, especially alphas, they don't want to admit that they need more sales and they need help. So they kind of egg up what they're doing and downplay that they actually need help, but they're on the meeting. Get what I mean? We're trying to make them feel more comfortable. And you're getting like a little bit of a micro, if they want it to be a good fit, like I said, they need to be that forthcoming. It is critical. So very minute things here, but they all are really important. Okay. This stuff sounds basics, but a lot of people don't do this, and it really makes a massive difference. So moving on to sentence 4. So what we're doing here is basically talking about, once we know this, then what we're going to do is I'm going to explain how we help in XYZ. So you're basically saying this is when you're going to talk about how you help someone, okay? And you're basically future pacing this, okay? So they're already imagining the help before hearing the pitch. You're kind of getting them on the desire, you're not, on the outcomes. You're talking about that's what they actually really want. You're not talking about how you're going to do it. You're talking about, okay, at the end of this call, if I feel like it's a good fit, we're going to talk about how we're going to make you XYZ, okay? And that's really critical. And will is a strong, confident word there. You could say how we could, but it seems like there's options to fail, and we want to minimize that. We want to kind of give them that certainty and avoid that negative language, like might, could. That's a lot of people I hear say that. It's not good. And it's reinforcing that step 2, keeping you in control as well. I said that I will go and talk about this. So you're detailing it. Only at this point, I'm going to speak about how we can actually help you. Again, framing how the meeting is going to go. So if I was to talk about myself, who help other people get appointment setters into their business, who are going to help them generate 20 to 40 more leads, which is going to help them add additional 50 to 100 grand revenue, I'll say something like this. So I will then explain how we will help you add an appointment setter into your business is going to help you generate at least 20 to 40 more appointments a month, which is going to help you go from that 30 to 40,000 pounds a month over to 100,000 a month, and you don't have to do all that work yourself. So I've basically detailed the outcome there. I'm basically saying we're going to get this person in for you, and they're going to be booking you 20 to 40 calls a month, which is going to help you grow from 40 to 100,000 a month. Okay. And that's getting them excited, like, oh, sweet. So if I qualify, we're going to talk about how we definitely will get them to that 40 to 100 grand a month. And when we get to that point, what we're going to have is a lot more attention from them. And also, hopefully, we're going to have a lot more of information from them because they've opened up. Okay. Now, this is my one of my favorite parts here. Again, it lightens the mood and removes the pressure. We're basically then saying, if it's not a good fit, I can leave you some value on how we help other people get 20 to 40 appointments a month, which helps them generate over 100,000 a month to help you out either way. And what we're doing there is we're basically, like I said, remove that pressure. Like there's no hard close here. We don't really mind if you're not a fit. We just want to make sure that you are getting the results you need. We're also telling them that we're going to give them free value. So they're going to, again, they're going to try to lighten that guard. People don't like to be sold to. Hopefully we get some reciprocation back as well. So they're going to get that goodwill. It sounds like we're really good guys because we're going to give them free value at the end. Super key. And again, like I said, you frame that deal that you're not desperate. And I think a lot of people do get their guard dropped a little bit when that happens because they will just assume I'm going to try to hard sell them. That's what people expect from salespeople. But if you kind of give a different perception, they are more open. And people, like I said, I've done a video on this. People don't want to be pushing this. I mean, they just want to be guided. So yeah, that soft approach is really key. Okay. And then moving on to sentence 6. I love this. And not a lot of people do this. Okay. It's called calibrated questions. Does that sound like a bad idea? This is at the end, okay? So we've pasted all those steps together. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6 in the sentences. And then we're asking them, does that sound like a bad idea? Now, I love Chris Voss. I recommend people read this book. It is amazing. Never split the difference. People feel safer saying no than yes. Another cool thing here is people need to feel more comfortable saying no because we're going to get a no towards the end of the meeting, okay? They need to say to us they're not happy to go forward or no, they don't think this is for themselves because we can start then trying to close them. And what we're also doing here, it's this psychological safety. So by framing it as a bad idea, you make it easy for them to agree to your structure without feeling manipulated. They feel in control. You're not telling them this is exactly how it's going to go. You've asked them for validation. You're getting approval from them to say that, is this a good idea, basically? Or does that sound like a good idea? And what that is doing is it's allowing them to have an opinion to say, no, I don't agree with this. I want to do X, Y, Z. Most people won't do that. Probably 95 to 99% of people will just go, no, that sounds great. Or no, all happy with that. So that is great because if someone does say, no, I'm not happy with that, I've only got 10 minutes, reschedule the meeting. Or if someone says, no, I just want to know the figures, the analysis brain, you say, hey, no, you don't try to say no to them. I'll take that back. You basically say, look, this is how the meeting really needs to go to make sure that we actually understand, because I don't actually know if I can help you until I know more about you. And then from that point, I can obviously talk about how we help you. Does that sound fair? Again, does that sound fair? Again, it's really, really little things, but it keeps that loop going and it's really critical. So let's piece this whole thing together, okay? Because I'm conscious that I've gone through one by one and it's not going to stick, but you're going to start to understand it. You can rewatch this video and go back to these points once you go through this whole section. But why are we doing this structure again? So we're claiming the authority. It creates safety. It sets a process. And you're getting that verbal commitment. And the verbal commitment is really key because what you're able to do is you're always able to bring them back to this commitment. So if they ever go off track and they're not following this process, you just go back, hey, just like at the start of the meeting, like we talked about, we need to go through X, Y, Z, D to ensure that we spend this time really important and that we can actually make sure that we can help you. If they start arguing, which they may not, they may push back. never disagree, just go back to the agreement that we had, and it does normally keep people in check. This is for the 1%. Most people don't do that, especially once you frame this meeting. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is that most people just kind of go with the meeting structure. You're in control. You've got the power frame, and you've set that. And once you have this power frame, like I said, alphas don't buy from betas. You've put them into a beta position on this meeting because it's your meeting, and betas buy from alphas, and that's really critical, okay? So let's go through this as just like an overview without me adding anything in there. So it reads like this, okay? Hey, Mr. Prospect, how this meeting is going to go is we've got 40 minutes until my next call, so I want to ensure we make most of the time that we have. Firstly, I just need to understand more about the business, where you're wanting to go, and any roadblocks currently in the way. From here, once I've got a good understanding, I'll know if you're a good fit to work with us. I will then explain how we help you in XYZ, and if it's not a good fit, I can leave you some value on XYZ, help you out. Does that sound like a bad idea? Now, that flows beautifully together, okay? Now, this can work for any company. If we talk about, I don't know, let's just say we do weight loss, or we do, let's just do weight loss. So, hey, Mr. Prospect, how's this meeting going to go is we've got 40 minutes until my next call, so I want to make sure that we have the most of the time. Firstly, I just need to understand more about this is probably going to be a personal one, so we change it about yourself, where you're wanting to go, and any roadblocks currently in the way. From here, once I get a good understanding, I'll know if it's a good fit to work with us. I will then explain how we will help you lose 10 pounds of body fat within the next 12 weeks. And if it's not a good fit, I can leave you some value on how you can help, or guide you on how you can do this with yourself. So hopefully that helps you out. Does that sound like a bad idea? So piecing this together, you're able to set the frame, you've taken the power, and you're delivering this message that is doing so much small psychological things, but it really does set you up for success, okay? Do not underrate this. This is so important. You will see the difference in responses and how someone will lay back into their chair, and they'll open up a little bit more as well when you do this, because a lot of people are assuming you're going to pitch them straight away, and you come on and deliver that message instantaneously. They're not used to it, and it really puts you in a good position, okay? So I hope this helps. This I've done countless times on every single meeting I do, and it is crucial to my pitch. I can't wait for the next video. We're going to go through fact finding and how we actually properly fact find to help get this deal pushing, and then we've got another 4 videos on this pitch.